I think that's working now. I think I've turned it off private onto public, so people should be able to hear me. Right, off we go. Here's a bit of Peter Green. Well, that was nice. A little bit of Peter Green or Fleetwood Mac, whichever you like. Well, how are we all out there? We've got, well, so far, just Mum. Hello, Mum. Right, if anyone else wants to comment and let me know how you're doing, that'd be nice. Right, today, the episode 12, I believe, of the 42 guitars. We are blasting our way through my guitars at this point. So check this beauty out. This is my 1970 or 71-ish, around that time, Gibson Les Deluxe. You know about guitars. Obviously, this is a technically a deluxe, should have mini buckers, but this is what they call a rooted deluxe. So just to explain what that means, back in the 70s, most of the Les Pauls that were made with mini humbuckers. So these things were small. There wasn't enough room to put big humbuckers in. So what people used to do was to buy, because these were cheaper than buying a standard, as I understand. Haffin, hello Sheila, thanks for sending me a little message, so I know you're there. So anyway, people used to buy the cheaper versions, which was the deluxes. Hello Charlotte. In the next room, you could actually shout through, really, couldn't you? So it's a Les Paul. If you look on there, it's a Les Paul Deluxe. So as I say, technically should have mini buckers, but someone has decided to, rather than have the mini buckers in there, they've rooted out or gouged out a space enough to put humbuckers in there. So these are pickups. The original pickups are actually, as I say, mini buckers, and these are T-tops, which are Gibson humbuckers from slightly later on. I don't know, actually. I think they're around in that time, and these were just the, if you like, the ones that followed path pickups. So these are T-tops in there, nice sounding pickups, very sort of bright sound, which suits me, to be honest. I like a bright sounding Les Paul over most things. There's some weird things about Les Pauls that were made back in the 70s. So this is a typical early 70s Deluxe. You might be able to see there, this is what's called the pancake body. So you can see there's a little thin line around the middle, which basically used thinner pieces of mahogany and just sandwiched them together. So again, sort of cutting corners, a bit like Fender when CBS brought them out. These are like Norlin era Gibson, so they started to sort of try and save money on the construction. So there's a sandwich. So there's, if you like, two sandwiches, and I believe there's that little pancake bit in the middle, they call it. I think that's a little sandwich of maple. So if you like, it's two mahogany slices of bread with a maple piece of ham in there, and then a maple top on. So it just basically, I think, as I understood, saved various costs, and also there's like a neck volute that sort of stops the neck breaking quite so violently. Also, these have got bigger headstocks, the ones in the 70s, so there was obviously a bit of an obsession with making the headstocks bigger in the 70s. So Fender did it, and so did Gibson. Just looking for my pick. It's obviously disappeared somewhere. I'm sure I had it a minute ago. I was definitely playing. I'll find it somewhere. So yeah, that's there it is. So that's my rooted Deluxe. It's pretty much all about again, I like the T-tops in because they're bright pickups, and I sort of saved them to P90s in it, which I did do at one point when I first got this guitar. Really, this was the first of my gold tops. Bought this because I was really into Sean Costello, who uses a P90 Les Paul. Good morning, Henry from Riverside. I believe that's California. Hello, Julie. You're watching. And this is, what was I saying? Yeah, so I bought, because I was sort of really into Sean Costello and wanted it to have P90s. So I did actually take the humbuckers out and put some P90s in, which it's the wrong size cavity. So there ended up being a big gap for me wanting to put different pickups in it. So eventually I just gave up and put the original humbuckers back in again. But for a Les Paul, this is actually pretty. Hello, Jack. There you are. So for a Les Paul, this is pretty bright. It's not a hugely fat sound. The back pickup is quite weak. It's about 7.5K. But again, it quite suits me. I sort of quite like a bit like the what did I do yesterday? I've completely forgotten. Oh yeah, the SG. I like the fact that it's got fairly weak pickups and fairly bright sound. So it sounds more on the side of a telly than a very fat Les Paul sound. Even the front pickup, these T-top pickups are really nicely sort of bright. So not a typical Les Paul sound. Oh, Jack is back on the Social Network with a cover of a song that I might have heard before. I think I definitely have heard it before. I'm looking forward to that. Jack is doing one of my songs. So whatever you do, go and have a listen to Jack playing one of my tunes from Letter's side. I'm hoping you can hear my voice okay. Someone mentioned the fact that my mic's not loud enough for people to hear over my overbearing guitar playing. So sound-wise, yeah. So front pickup, pretty bright. More sounds like a mini bucket to me. Middle position. Still pretty bright in the back pickup. A bit more twang. Just turn that off for a sec. So a clean sound. Thank you, Jack. I'm glad you can hear. I think as Peter had mentioned, every time I start to speak, he had to turn it up and then back down again when I played guitar. So pretty nice clean sound for a Les Paul. Pretty nice rhythm sound. So yeah, not your typical Les Paul, but if you stick a load of gain on it, you can get there, like so. So yeah, you can get that tone. It's just not as powerful, but they're not like hugely overwound pickups. What else can I tell you about this? So, yeah, I swapped this back. Oh God, I don't know, sort of maybe a good 8, 9 years ago. Thank you, Andy. I agree. I swapped this. I had a '64 Fender Jag, and I really wanted a Les Paul, so I swapped. I think the Fender Jag for a couple of guitars, and this was one of them. I think it was also I got a Fender Strat in the bargain as well. I never played the Jag at all. You know, it just two things really about Fender Jags is that they have short scale necks, and I don't really get on with those at all. Just because the strings are different, and then the bridge. Every time I played, I would knock the strings off the bridge. And to be honest, I'm not a big Jag fan. I love the look of them, but just not a big fan of the actual sound of them. So again, I always like to sort of get rid of not using at all. If I can possibly swap them for a thing I would use, and I've used this an awful lot for gigs with P90s in it, and like it is, use this quite a lot for the Guitar Legend stuff. Did use this on not Hard to Please. Oh yes, I did use it on Hard to Please. I used this very guitar for the for a lot of Hard to Please rhythm tracks when it had the P90s in. It suited having P90s in, but they just looked a bit odd because there was gaps, and the OCD got a bit over the top there. So yeah, apart from that, let's play some music, shall we? How about some Gary Moore? This is a tune from Gary Moore that I used to do in my solo act. I'm not sing like the song, so I always used to do a instrumental version of it. So I'm going to do an instrumental version for you now. I've Still Got the Blues. Now, always I have to remind myself before I do this song which one it is, because Prison Walkways and I don't know, they sit in my head as almost the same song. I know a lot of people agree. So I'm going to do, hopefully, the Still Got the Blues. That's the one. So instrumental version of Still Got the Blues. I hope I don't get too bored. It's about 6 minutes long. Stick around. Ooh. There you go. Bit of Gary Moore. I don't often do Gary Moore. It's not a guitar, so I listen to a great deal these days. I did used to be a quite fan, and I've got another Gary Moore song planned for another 42 guitars special at some point in the future. I learned one of his instrumentals. Really got like played it loads and loads, so really liked it. So I'm going to be playing that one once my Pantera is fixed. I may well do it on. Well, there's not much else I can. Oh, thank you, Wayne. Yes, actually, Wayne, we went off and saw Gary Moore, didn't we? As I remember, quite a while back now. I saw him at the UEA. I think we left slightly early to beat the crowds. I think while that song was playing. So not much else. Let me show you some of the wear on the back, so you can see there. Again, someone's had a bit of a thing with their belt buckle on that one. Yes, exactly. So that's a it's in fair nick. I don't know if you can see right up close on there, but there's a lot of if I get it the angle right, you can see a lot of cracks in the finish. It's quite common to these guitars, but you can see all that. There's actually you can see it quite well. You can see that with the picture's good enough, but lots of deep cracks in the gold finish on that particular guitar. I've got another one of these Deluxes with even better cracking, but you can see that if I hold it that way, you can. I love this. You can see all the cracks if I hold it that way. Look at it like that, but this far away, and you can't see them at all, which is pretty good, I think. You know, it looks perfect from there, and then it looks like a sort of like a weird tiger stripe sort of pattern when you look at it from that angle. And that's it. That's my 70. Well, I think it's hard to tell from Gibson serial numbers, but I believe it's 1970, 71. I think the pots are actually dated at 1970, and the serial number at 71. The original tune pegs, again, as I mentioned, not the original pickups, but definitely vintage Gibson pickups. Everything else pretty good. I'm going to finish off with one more track. This one is actually one of the tracks that I remember when I was probably about 7 or 8. Reasons why I really wanted to play guitar. I sort of sat and listened to this particular track from John Mayall's Blues Breakers, and it was what you call a bit of an epiphany. Just thought to myself, blimey, that sounds great. I've got to learn it. So I sort of did learn it, not very well, as usual, but I learnt it nonetheless. Right, so a bit of Clapton, actually. Hope you enjoy it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing my gold top. I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Request for Little Wing, was that? I missed that. So down. Little Wing is something I will reserve for another guitar. This one is not exactly the guitar you play Little Wing on. You can sort of do it. but it's some sort of sacrilege to play Little Wing on a Gibson, to be fair. But I will be doing Little Wing at some point in the future when I do another one of my Stratocasters. So Becky, you could tune in for that one, definitely. This is again an old one. This is called Stepping Out. John Mayall's Blues Breakers. I'll see you next time, guys. Oh, well, by the way, we're doing the Lockdown Music Festival. You'll see that on Sarah and Joy's website. We go on at 6:40 tonight. You can log into, I think it's like the Lockdown Music Festival website. You can find it pretty easily. But if you go to our Sarah and Joy's Facebook page, you'll see it on there. And we kick off, it's like a 15-minute slot. There's some great bands playing. So tune into that if you're into blues and have a listen to that. We'll be on 6:40, like I say. There you go, Stepping Out. All right, cool, guys. Thanks for listening in. I will see you tomorrow, hopefully with another guitar from the collection.